channel, everyone. Today I thought I would do a video on how I got to law school. I'm going to be talking about the law school application process. I'm sure many of you have Googled, what do I need to do? What are the steps? What do you need to get into law school? I was also there. I totally get it. So here's a video to help you guys a little bit. First, just talking about my pre-law school experience, undergrad, the break I took. So I created my own degree, kind of like a pre-law program, and that led me into my internship, which then turned into a full-time job with this law firm. My plan was to go to law school after I graduated from undergrad. I did apply and I reassessed financial, my LSAT score, GPA, all of that, and decided that I should wait a little bit. So I ended up being a paralegal for 2 years before I actually went to law school. I think for me that was the best decision for me. Not only did I save money, but I also looked at my options. I went and traveled to a lot of law schools because I wanted to like where I was going because I didn't want to feel trapped. So I went all over. My husband and I, we went to the East Coast, we went to San Francisco, we went to so many places to go visit law schools that I was debating on going to or applying to. So I definitely recommend that you go and travel and visit these schools that you are thinking about. I also didn't have the best LSAT score, so I wanted to study for that a little bit and try to get a higher LSAT score, just so I can improve my chances of being accepted into law school. For me, that, again, those 2 years was the best choice for me. I saved money, I got to visit these schools, and I got to improve my LSAT score, which was beneficial for me. I was fortunate enough to start building connections during my undergrad, and then obviously when I was a paralegal, because I was working with, at the time, it was 4 attorneys, and then I worked with 2 additional attorneys while I was an undergrad at that same firm because some people left. So they were really my mentors. Some of them had just come out of law school, so I was able to talk to them, really get a sense of everything, and they were all very supportive of me, so I got to build those connections, my mentors. One of them is still my mentor today. I had a great person, a great professor that is and continues to be my mentor. She helped me through my undergrad process and she still helps me today. So I was able to build those connections. And then law school is expensive. That was one of the big things for me is I got into some really nice law schools, but they were so expensive. And looking at if I was offered financial aid or not, the money that I have saved, but also the cost of living in these places was a big obstacle. I had to choose what's best for me financially, the best outcome. So I stayed close to home and I was able to get an in-state tuition waiver, which actually made it really nice, so I didn't have to take out as many loans. I had enough savings built up that throughout those 3 years that those savings helped pay for all my bills and any extra things that I needed for school. And also just navigating it by yourself sometimes was a little rough, right? I'm trying to figure out what law schools I wanted to apply to, how far away from home, what's financially best for me, cost of living, it's a lot because you're figuring this out all on your own sometimes. A big thing too that helps determine financial aid for law school is how well you do on the LSAT. If you get really good LSAT score, your chances are that most of the law schools that you apply to will actually give you scholarships. I was able to get a couple of scholarships. I didn't do that well, but I remember I was looking at, I want to say it was New England Law School. They offered me, I think it was $40,000 every year to go to their school. Seattle University offered me some, not a lot. It's very expensive. And, a lot of my peers that were also thinking of law school, they got higher LSAT scores and they were able to get more, leverage it more, I guess, to get more financial aid, which is great for them. I didn't let that deter me. I knew I didn't have the best score, but I also knew that if I am meant to go to law school, I will. There will be a law school out there for me, and I did. I found a good law school, great people there. So LSAT score can be a challenge if you really are trying to get the best help financially. I recommend really taking the time to study and get that LSAT score. If you're like me, I did want some money, but there was other options, other ways that I can help balance taking out so many loans and whatnot. LSAT score isn't everything. You are still going to get into law school. I still got into law school. It's a law school that actually I wasn't even really thinking about, and then it was somewhat close to home. My husband's best friend was actually living in that town. We went to go visit it. I thought it was great. It was a small town. Instant tuition waiver, meaning I had to spend less. Cost of living there was so cheap. It's still pretty cheap. And I knew that was the best decision for me. Some tips to help you if you are applying through law school: really look at what's financially best for you. How much loans, how much money do you have saved up? If you want scholarships, prepare to, redo your LSAT score, really work on that to get a good LSAT score. Also look at cost of living. Sometimes cost of living, if it's going to be really high, like Boston, New York, or whatever, it might not be. If you can't afford that, I would recommend going to a smaller school, maybe somewhere near there that's not going to break the bank for cost of living, because that is something you have to take into consideration too. You're buying books, you're buying, sometimes if you need a new laptop before law school, you need a lot of new stuff sometimes. Really balance that finance-wise. LSAT score, again, what I just mentioned. I think if you can visit these schools, definitely do that. That is one tip I recommend. I was able to visit these schools and, talk to students there. Spend time, go on a tour, right? But spend some time outside of the tour. See how people are. Sit on campus randomly, observe. Go to the town, see if you like the town. I remember I thought I was going to a school on the East Coast and I hadn't visited, and I was like, oh, I love it. It looks so great on the pictures. But when I went, I wasn't sold. I ran around the town. I was like, I don't really see myself here. There's not very much things to do. I didn't really like it. And I'm so glad I went to go visit, because I would have probably ended up hating living there for 3 years. Please, if you can, visit these schools. You want to also like where you're going. Also, if you don't have, I think another tip I would recommend is really work on your application. Find mentors if you can. They don't always need to be in the law. They don't have to be lawyers. Sometimes a professor, just someone who can give you a good perspective on, talking to them about the application process, what you're looking for, what you're balancing. Find someone to talk to. Really work on your application. Even though I didn't have a good LSAT score and had a mediocre GPA, I put my story, my passion into my application, and I think very many people saw that. The school that I eventually went to, I think they could see that. We did a Zoom interview and they loved it. It just confirmed that, yes, we want you here. We want more people like you, because I have this unique first-gen Latina experience, and they really valued that. And so make sure that shows. Put that in there. Have someone look at your application and see, does this stand out to you? Because you can stand out in so many different ways instead of academically. I also did a lot of volunteer work. I, helped form some of these clinics during my undergrad. Like, that is what stands out. So even when I was a paralegal, I volunteered, and that stands out. You can put that in there. You're in it because you're passionate about it. I didn't have a roadmap, but I figured it out. When those acceptance letters started coming in, it changed everything. You can do this. Go through the application process. In my next video, I will talk about what law school was actually like.